We are Cactus Wrestling. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.
Welcome back to Cactus Wrestling. And check it out. I have a microphone here. My sound quality is pretty good, huh? You guys
Crisp.
with you?
Cool, crisp, smooth.
Compared to you guys, I mean,
Yeah, no, we're in the dirt here. We're in the mud, me and Mike.
Shout out to Maono who sent us this microphone. We're gonna do some microphone testing and gonna be talking about the quality in future videos as well. But you know, we've been around for a while as a podcast, so we got to start, upping our game, upping our equipment, and you can hear the clear disparity in quality when you listen to my voice compared
Yeah,
to
compared to
the mics
mine.
here today.
Yeah,
So
I sound like I'm in like a tunnel as always. I have a hard time even listening back to it sometimes.
yeah, so shout out to Maono for sending us this, and we'll definitely drop some features about the microphone. If you're interested, check out the comments down below. But let's get into the wrestling news because this might have been one of the craziest weeks in college wrestling. Mike Lawn, you didn't think it was going to happen, and sure enough,
I
the
Yeah, when we
Magic
heard about it as a
Man is
rumor,
going to Okie State. First reactions, let me hear them.
I
well,
didn't think this was gonna
I
happen.
remember when we saw the first rumor, Mike
Yeah.
was like, "There's no way he
Yeah.
has his businesses. He's got his family. He's not leaving Penn State.
I
No
was
way."
like, yeah, I was like, he's lived. David Taylor has spent the majority of his life and his entire adult life in state college. He has three daughters, all of which are, two of which are in schools at the, in-state college area. He owns multiple businesses, not just M2, but he also owns a smoothie shop. He has partnerships with other businesses, and he has a farm. Like he has animals, cattle out there. I was like, this guy is, besides that, David Taylor is the face of Penn State.
He's a pillar of yeah.
Like
Wait,
we
wait,
had
wait.
like
Here's the text that Mike Long sent us. I don't buy it. David Taylor owns several businesses in and around State College, not to mention two daughters in the school system there. That would be a very big move logistically, which is
huge,
all correct.
especially when the rumor was that they had just floated this idea to David, where like in the final hour, and like, oh, like let's take a shot in the dark and see if David Taylor's interested. And so either he's been discussing this for a while behind closed doors, and a lot of people knew this was coming, or they made him a deal he could not refuse.
I feel like they made him a deal he could not refuse. Like I feel like th they have a lot of faith that he's going to be able to basically turn Okie State into the Okie State of old. Like,
Yeah.
I
and
mean,
honestly,
yeah.
I think he's going to have a pretty good shot at doing it. If you consider like what he's produced out of M2,
Yeah.
like I think it's
K-Sac and Levi Haynes were
like
M2
I don't
guys.
think it's unreasonable to think that he's going to be able to have that kind of success helming a storied program like Okie State. Like, I think actually, I mean, I feel bad for Coleman Scott for how this all played out
They
because
did him dirty, dude.
I sent it to you guys. He was the heir, apparently not. Um, so like, because everyone thought that he was going to have it, but I love that it's David Taylor because I feel like the young program that they got right there, adding David Taylor, I feel like it's going to be a lot more dynamic. I feel like he's going to get more out of them than Coleman Scott would. Not knocking Coleman Scott, but
Yeah, but his
I
track record wasn't the greatest at UNC.
yeah, I think David Taylor is going to be more impactful.
I said this to you guys earlier. I think David Taylor going to Okie State is this generation's Cale Sanderson to Penn State. I think
Yeah,
it,
definitely.
Cale only
I
went
Similar
think
there
it,
age
years ago.
range.
yeah, and I think it is that big. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people would be like, "There's no way," he's not Cale. David had an incredible career, college career, not the same as Cale. 159 now, but look what he did internationally. Look what he's already done as a coach. And this is a multiple-time world champion, Olympic champion. He's produced some of the best guys from his club in the world. I mean, look at how good Levi Haynes and Tyler Kasich have done so far. And that's not including up and coming guys like I know Pearson Manville, Mason Gibson. the M2 club through all levels is constantly doing amazing stuff in freestyle and folk style.
And so I'm just curious because I've seen some people like rumor like who's following David Taylor. Like, do you think Kasek and or Haynes are gonna bail on Penn
Transfer
State?
out? Ooh,
Like,
I don't. Well, the transfer
or do you
portal
think there's
just
other guys on Penn
closed.
State's roster that might transfer out? Like, I mean, those two sound like the most likely since they went to M2, but like,
When does the transfer portal open back up? Because it just
I'm not sure.
closed.
yeah, it just closed. So like, we're not gonna get to know for a while if any of these guys.
But like a guy like Terrell Bearclaw, though, he might.
Yeah, he's sitting
he
in the
might-
portal, right? But
What's crazy is though, Okie State has guys like Dean Hamidi and Caleb Fish who have already transferred in. So
Yep.
that's their 65-74. You got their 57-pounder, Teague Travis was an NCAA qualifier. So
Yep.
maybe he redshirts because he was a freshman. So maybe Bearclaw could be their 57 if he transferred in, potentially. But
I mean, you got Ladarian Lockett on that program as well.
oh yeah, he's coming in as a freshman.
and then
he's
think about Andrew Alirez. He
Maybe-
might be
Maybe a Wyatt
persuaded.
Hendrickson. Maybe a
Wyatt Hendrickson. Is it crazy to think that Okie State could win the team title next year? I sent out a poll.
I think
today.
yes.
You
Well,
think it's crazy?
I don't think they. I think they'll be again a top program. I don't think they're going to win right off the rip.
I mean, if they got Alirez, Hendrickson, Parco,
Yeah.
Oh wow! If they got Parco too.
Plus they have
Bearclaw,
Christian. Plus they have Christian Carroll at 197.
oh yeah, that's a major upgrade from not Trumbull, from what's his
Not
face?
not to mention Cale Hughes
Herbert.
at 133. Cale Hughes,
Yeah.
who just ran the gauntlet at U20s. I mean,
Yeah.
on paper, this is a fantastic team, but how much was David doing for the Penn State coaching staff?
Well, I guess
Yeah,
we'll
but-
find out in the coming
That's,
years.
yeah,
'cause if
we're gonna find
Penn
out.
State starts to take a slide, and Okie State's. I mean, Okie State, I think, is going to rise regardless. But if Penn State starts to slip, then it could be he was doing a lot for that program.
But you got to keep in mind, it's not just David Taylor. He's going to be pulling not only the recruits coming in to follow, but he's bringing in his own coaching staff because there's rumors that Gilman's going to follow him,
gonna say.
Jimmy Kennedy. And so that RTC, the NLWC, is going to be less deep.
Broken.
And
Well,
all those workout partners, now Aaron Brooks isn't, or sorry, Carter isn't going to have a guy like David Taylor in the room anymore for
Well,
his
also,
fifth year.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't you guys see the thing where it said David Taylor might be waiting for the Olympics to end to get Dake to come?
So someone brought that up as well, and then another person was like, Dake's not the coaching type per se; it's not his personality. I mean, Kyle Dake, incredible wrestler, probably a really good coach. But we've always seen him as a competitor and never like the Kyle Dake Wrestling Club. And not to say he can't.
Well, he coached at Cornell.
Yeah, but he's from that area, and I find it
It was
hard
big
pressed
for him
that
to move. Yeah, it was big for him to
Yeah.
move to Penn State. That was pretty breaking news. I don't
Yeah,
think he'd
but
be
now
like,
he's
hey
losing
guys.
his best bud.
Well, I don't know if they're best
Yeah.
buds.
I mean, they're good
I know
friends.
close, but
I mean, I think it's more realistic than the two of you do, clearly. But
Well, I didn't even think this was going to happen, so my opinion means nothing. But yeah, I heard about Thomas Gilman as well. I want to circle back though to what Jack just said about the Olympics. I think officially, David Taylor is retired from wrestling, and I feel like no one's talking about that portion of it.
yeah,
he
no,
doesn't even
true.
need
No
to
one
make
has
that
mentioned it, 'cause,
announcement.
unless the thing with Brooks is
It's true with
is
the
it well is true and is an actual an issue, then David Taylor is the guy. But like, I mean, I feel like it's probably going to get resolved, especially since I'm hearing it's
Yeah.
just Adderall.
yeah.
What's
I don't think
crazy
it's gonna
is
be so
that
serious.
a singlet pull has seemingly propelled this monstrous wave in wrestling.
Oh, that's so true.
The singlet
Had
pull
Saeed-
heard around the world.
Had Saeed not pulled that singlet, and that
'Cause
call's not been made.
There's no way that David Taylor's accepting a head coaching position in May of 2024 if he's about to wrestle in the Olympics in
Oh
a
yeah,
few
it's not even gonna
months.
be on his radar. He's like, no, I'm getting ready for the Olympics. I can't think about that.
Yeah.
Because the reason Kale retired from competing was he's like, I can either devote myself to training or I can devote myself to coaching, and I want to devote myself to coaching.
So, Mike, you're obviously a Penn State fan, and this is a little bit heartbreaking for you. But do
It
you
was.
think it is overall better for the sport to have a guy like David Taylor coming
Yeah.
in?
I think
Oh,
for sure, it helps kind of break up the monopoly of like the top few teams. I say that as he goes to like Oklahoma State, which is not like a bottom
The
program at all. It's
greatest
like,
program of
yeah,
in
you know, just
history for
just the most
wrestling.
national titles ever.
Right.
I think that I kind of go back and forth in this in two ways. And one is that the David Taylor new coaching regime will not make a big difference. And someone pointed it out, and they're like, "Look, John Smith, incredible coach, incredible background. Yet he wasn't drawing these guys from Pennsylvania or New Jersey, Ohio. He was still getting from Oklahoma. He's like, as much as it is very cool for David Taylor to be there, I don't know why guys would say, hey, let me go over in the last 10 years, pick a team that has had 10 team titles or a team that's had 0, and I live in Pennsylvania already. Why would I pick David Taylor over Kale? And I was like, that's a good point. But then the other point is,
The problem is that Penn State has created such a log jam at so many weights that some guys are now having an opportunity saying, I could get probably similar coaching caliber over at Okie State with David Taylor and company than I can with Kale and company.
I think that this time next year, we're going to see a commitment that rocks the wrestling world, where Jax Forrest goes to Oklahoma State to wrestle under new head coach David Taylor, and a certain, wrestler, maybe named Bo Bassett, is possibly considering the same thing.
Although with Bo Bassett, every time he posts a picture on Twitter of his alarm clock at 4:56 p.m. or a.m. and he captions it or whatever,
Yeah.
he always does the hashtag dream big, like Big Ten, like
Yeah, that's I can
subliminal
see.
messages.
Or
Yeah.
does he mean Big 12?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think that this has really helped solidify though Jax Forrest going to Oklahoma State, and I know that as a family they say that they're open to everywhere still. But Jax has a huge love for Dayton. He's from the South, originally from North Carolina. And now how could you not want to train under a current, number one
Olympic
guy?
champion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of Jax Forrest, I mean, Binghamton's on the card. I mean, his dad was an alumni. Just throwing that out there, Jax.
Warshoff, get on that.
Listening. Yeah. So I did a poll on if this immediate hire could threaten Penn State's title run, and 43 votes, still early, only 2 hours in. 26% say yes, Okie State can be a title contender next year, and 74% say no. And some people in the comments say it's going to take a couple of seasons, but later, yes. Same with Kale and Penn State, where it took them a little bit to develop, and then obviously they've been on a roll ever since. But honestly, like, this is exactly what wrestling needed, because it's kind of boring, especially when you're talking to non-wrestling fans, and it's like NCAA's coming around and like, oh yeah, you should check it out, it's really cool. And then they ask, oh, what teams are good? And it's like, well, Penn State already locked it up before the tournament even started. Like they guaranteed to win. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, no, they're just that much better than everyone else.
Yeah. Well,
so hopefully we now see a little bit of a fun team race as this develops.
Do you guys think anyone else is salty besides Carter?
I mean,
I'm sure that some of the Penn State guys aren't thrilled, but as a whole, I mean, Penn State is typically like, oh, I'm so happy for my buddy because he's moving, being the best, his best life. Carter did not seem as happy, shall we say?
He's starting drama just to start drama.
Yeah, I mean, I was laughing about him claiming like the loyalty thing, and it's like, Carter, don't you know where Kale's from? Like where he went to school and even coached before abandoning. Like, David Taylor's kind of just following Kale's footsteps here. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I think
I just have so many questions still, I guess, and I wish that like we knew more and we had like more definitive answers with things.
I think this is going to start we talked about it in some earlier videos in terms of guys who were coached by John Smith who went on to coach at different teams, and I think this is the first of Kale's
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
that is now helming a head coaching position, and this is like
Well,
big
actually,
big time
it's
news.
funny you mentioned that because okay, just one of the people that John Smith coached. You got Pat Popolizio at NC State. Pat Popolizio now has Donnie Vinson, who's head coaching Buffalo. Like it's like
Oh yeah,
Coaching tree.
grandfathering
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
like that. That's kind of
But I think as far as the guys who Kale has coached, what brings David Taylor as such a big draw is that these guys who are coming up in high school and college, they grew up watching David Taylor. He's
yeah.
that age range to be the role model for them. So it's like a dream come true when a guy like that.
And with a name like the Magic Man.
Yeah, and even like Thomas Gilman, if he jumps on Olympic medalist, like
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's big time news. Big time news in wrestling. Exciting
Now,
time in wrestling.
uh, you guys know what's Coleman Scott gonna do?
Get screwed.
Well, that's
Well,
already happened. He's already
I would
got
be pissed if I was him, dude. I tell you, I would be
it's
not as a
that
fan.
AD
left your
though.
head
It's that
coaching job.
AD. The AD was like, "Nah, I'm gonna go seek out David Taylor. He's not interested, but I'm gonna offer it to him anyway." I had this guy who moved his life here, who was a national champion for us many years ago,
Yeah, he's
but
an alumni.
yeah, I'm just gonna
The head
go.
coaching job to be here,
Yeah, I'm just gonna say sorry, bud.
but stay on.
Well,
Or
I don't know.
I mean,
That
I don't
part of
think
the
he.
offer is probably like David Taylor can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, the next news we're gonna see is Coleman Scott to Hofstra since Papadatos is now moving to an administrative role.
Well, you might as well go to Columbia before going to
Oh, actually, yeah, no,
Hofstra.
that makes more sense. Go to Columbia first.
Yeah,
I'm just.
I'm sure Coleman Scott will land on his feet somewhere.
I wonder who's going to take over M2. I saw a rumor that it's like, oh, Jason Nolf and Zane Rutherford are going to take over M2 for David Taylor.
Yeah, but I actually read something about Zane Rutherford is that he almost retired
Yeah, this year.
altogether, and he
Yeah.
was going to move to New York City and
Yep, for a job.
take a finance job, and he was like done. And then Coach Casey was like, "Hey, like we came up with a plan for you to make the weight cut. It doesn't have to be year long, and why don't you give it one more go?" And then Zane was like, "All right, I'm in." And then here we are. He's almost an Olympian. So yeah, he was almost retired out to New York. So I don't know if that
And he was
changes or not. But
retired and like not even coaching, like going to freaking
yeah,
finance.
finance. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Nico Megaludis.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just does wrestling on the side.
But I mean, Aaron Brooks could be potentially someone. Well, I don't know if there's bad blood between him and
Yeah.
David
No, no.
Taylor after the match or whatnot.
They
I
were
mean,
he was his warm-up partner for Worlds last year. I mean, he brought Aaron. Like they
Yeah.
have a very tight relationship, I have to imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit bumpy the way things are going now.
Well, I think the way you said it earlier really sums it up really well. It breaks up the monopoly because that RTC is now going to separate where it literally was like the Olympic Training Center, and now a
Yeah.
flock of high talent is going to be going elsewhere. So now guys are going
We
to have to pick
assume.
and choose.
Yeah.
Like I said, we assume.
I mean,
Penn State has done a great job holding things together the last few years. I wonder if it's going to be, if you think of it like a cookie, like is it going to be like a single chocolate chip, or are they going to get the whole, a few of them, or a whole cookie? Like, who is going to go and say, hey, I've done so great at Penn State or so great in the NLWC. Why change things up?
Well, what
You
if
know?
Nolf goes?
Like I said, they could get. That's what I mean is that they can get a ton of guys and be like, hey, why would Nolf want to ride pine behind Kyle Dake?
What about assistant coach Jordan Burroughs?
I don't think he's
no.
retiring yet. Jordan seems the way things went for
He's
Jordan.
in Jersey. He's not moving to Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a Jersey boy, But the way things went for Jordan, I think he's going to try at least one more year or compete at the non-Olympic weight worlds this year. So,
Yeah. He wants
um,
one more title.
it's 79 kilo,
Yeah.
but he wants to get that number 7.
I mean, if he does, props to him, but
It's just, I can't believe that the David Taylor era of freestyle wrestling ended like this.
not only did he lose the spot out, he's not like he went out on top, like he lost the spot and then out of nowhere, just thin air, poof. Hello, cowboy. I love
like a magician.
The one thing, new sheriff in town, like.
Yeah, but you know what? When you're an Olympic gold champion, it's hard to keep that motivation. It's like, how do I I've already done it. Like I literally can't go any higher.
David actually shared about that before. He talked about the worlds he lost to Yazdani. He said, I just beat him for the Olympic Games. It was the the COVID year where you had both in the same year. He's like, I just beat him at the Olympics, and he's like, I just really wasn't that interested in the worlds, and I lost. And he's like, I won the gold medal for the Olympics, and that was my goal. You guys, I didn't. He's like, I actually was going to sit out of the worlds this year, but I figured out why not.
Why not? I got second.
Yeah, it takes second. But
so yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot more motivation starting something new in his coaching endeavors. I mean, it's got to be tough for Kale because it's like he's literally done everything at every level, so it's got to be hard for him to be like, well, all right, I guess like David Taylor, let's bring it on. You're my protege.
You're my
now
new
you
nemesis.
now you're gonna give me some competition, but
the golden boy is gone.
Golden boy's gone.
And what do you guys think? You think Spencer Lee and DeSanto will replace the Brands Bros and become the third?
Nah, those Brands brothers are locked in.
Yeah, they love him there.
I feel like Iowa fans like the Brands.
I feel like Iowa fans are very torn on it. I feel like when they win, they're like, "Oh man, these are our guys," and then they lose and they just rip them apart. And they're like, "This is why we should have replaced him years ago."
I mean, we've talked about it. I don't think they're as bad as people.
No, they're. I mean, look,
make them out to be, but
a bad year for Iowa is like finishing third at nationals.
Well, that's the thing. The expectations are so high.
Well, that's the same thing with Penn State, and I feel like that's going to start with Okie State. Is they're like, oh, David Taylor's here. Like, I'm sure there's some fans that are like, we're winning this year.
Yeah, no, yeah. David Taylor's probably going to walk in and be like, we're winning nationals. That's the new expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
hope to see them duel.
Yeah. I mean,
they have a duel on the schedule. Well, the schedules aren't even out. I hope they get a duel on the schedule.
Well, they were talking about Beaver Stadium and the football field. That would be crazy.
So just like Iowa did, they talked about having Beaver Stadium, and they're like, can we sell out a football stadium for a wrestling match? And I go, you have the storyline of Oklahoma State with David Taylor, new regime, versus Penn State, the old family, two teams that on paper should be top teams in the nation. Maybe not 1 and 2, but at least one, very high up there, very close competitive matches. And I think this would be awesome, especially when you have Carter Starachi hyping this up, like David Taylor,
oh yeah,
ran over his dog.
Yeah, exactly. Personal vendetta here.
Let us know your thoughts down below about David Taylor to Oklahoma State. Can you believe it actually happened? The Magic Man era is here in Stillwater moving forward. Let us know your thoughts down below. How is this going to impact Oklahoma State? How is this going to impact Penn State, the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club
that follows it?
Pennsylvania wrestling in general, Oklahoma wrestling in general.
Yeah. And who do you think is going to follow David Taylor to coach alongside him? And then which athletes do you think are going to transfer over to big recruits?
Wait to see.
Yeah. So as news comes out, we will be here spilling it for you. And this is Cactus Wrestling. Shout out again to the Maono microphone. And check out the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. We are Cactus Wrestling, and we'll see you next time on our next video.